For anyone who's been in Lisbon before knows that there's way so much more to the city than the historic centre. Whether you're exploring the vintage areas to the east, or discovering the bohemian scene and legendary monuments to the west, in this sunny capital, there's something for everyone. And if you haven't been here yet, now is the perfect time. I suppose we're ready to go. Come, I'll show you Lisbon. This city is striking for its culture, where old traditions still survive until this day. Head east just above Santa Apollonia, and you'll find one of Europe's oldest flea markets, Feira de Lada, or Thieves' Market, which has its origins since the 13th century. It's a popular spot for bric-a-brac shopping. It's also a vibrant scene where both residents and tourists brush elbows and revitalizing customs. This is also a part of Lisbon where Romanesque monuments and Baroque pantheons stand proudly alongside vintage market culture, where previous monasteries are restored to exhibit Portuguese craftsmanship to the world. Speaking of restoration, it's hard not to notice, Lisbon is in the phase of a major revival. Look closer around the city and you'll see this change happening. Old tired buildings are getting a facelift. Head west of the city where this change is quite apparent, and there's no better example of this than the Alex factory in Alcântara. You must have heard of it. What was previously a textile factory after being derelict for decades has been transformed into a thriving creative and artistic scene. Let's put it this way, think San Francisco meets Berlin. The industrial cool sits alongside the urban hipster, where a sprawl of buildings are revived into a collection of shops, venues, cafes, and even a super delightful bookshop called L'Air de Vagar. What was once a printing factory, this place was curated to become one of the most interesting bookshops, not just in Portugal, but in the world. Further along the compound, climb on top of the buildings and you'll find this vibrant Brazilian bar and restaurant, Rio Maravilha, one of the coolest rooftop spots which, for your money, gets you one of the best views of Lisbon. Recently, Lisbon has also been a magnet for entrepreneurship, inviting ideas, incubating possibilities, and then fostering them into new models and businesses. New projects are being unleashed and new initiatives are all popping up. For that is exactly what's happening here. Portugal is recovering from its economic crisis, and as a country, it decided that one solution for the problem is to open its arms to the world. For the past few years, Lisbon is on the rise, and it's being rediscovered, renovated, and revitalized. Most people, when they come to Lisbon, they start in the eastern side, moving to the historic centre, and ending right here in this area called the Lake. Sure, it's one of Lisbon's most touristy areas, and can often be inundated with lots of people, but that shouldn't put you off. This is, in fact, one of the most fascinating districts of Lisbon that you should go and explore. Lisbon, aside from being one of the oldest cities in Europe, has one of the most well-established and connected ports around the world. This waterfront alone has seen movements from ancient traders and settlers, from Phoenicians to the Carthaginians, the Greeks, the Romans, the Visigoths, and the Moors, all influencing the formation of Portugal. This waterfront alone has seen ships voyaging across the seas and changing the course of the world and our history as we know it. No wonder lots of people come here to learn about Lisbon, as its history is also being rediscovered by people like me and people like you. Tourism is on the rise. Last year alone saw over 12 million visitors. Whether that's sustainable for the residents here, that's part of the challenge. There's certainly a compromise in behalf of its people when the city wants to bring in investments, businesses, and new ventures. But the benefits are noticeable. It's no wonder people are buzzing about Lisbon. and Lisbon welcomes this buzz with open arms. And it just wants to make you tuck in even more.
Wow.
Yum! I'll tell you a little secret. When you're in Belém, climb up the hill a little bit in a place called Ajuda, and you'll find the secret garden of Ajuda. Far from the madding crowd of Belém, this garden is tucked away on a hill. If you want to get away from the noise, from the hustle and bustle, come here to seek refuge in this beautifully manicured hidden gem, the Ajuda Botanical Garden. The oldest botanical garden in Portugal. This 18th century landscape was created for the Portuguese royal family of its time and was the official garden of the Ajuda National Palace, inspired by the Italian Baroque gardens. It used to house 5,000 different plant species from all over the world, but the place suffered neglect in the later part of the 20th century, but has now been recently restored to its wonderful glory. It's a perfect place to read a book, meditate in this peaceful splendor, or simply be surrounded by various plants from all corners of the globe. Or you could picture this palatial garden playing host to the great Gatsby parties of your dreams. Portugal has its flaws, like everywhere else. Dealing with bureaucracy here can often be a slow and painstaking process. Hiring local services require a lot of patience. Processes that could otherwise be swift and efficient are muddled by that human habit of procrastination. I suppose these are trade-offs you get for living in a sunny and beautiful and relaxing city as this. But the city is changing, and it's catching up with the world. Electric cars are now infiltrating the streets. New apps and ideas are making things more efficient. And technology and an entrepreneurial spirit are on the rise. Digital creators like me have all been enamored by this city and chose to set this as a base. Lisbon's once empty buildings and streets are now being remodeled and brought to life. Once derelict areas are spotted with new co-working spaces and entrepreneurial pursuits, bringing vitality to the city. There's still a lot of work to be done in a city like Lisbon, but this is a place that's brimming with positivity. At the end of the day, your enjoyment of Lisbon depends on you. The city is yours for the taking, yes, but remember to take care of it. Each one of us who choose to move here is responsible for the future of beautiful Lisbon.